right at the end of the 10 Commandments. I used it today to talk about, I might just walk through it real quick, to
Sure,
talk
why
about
not?
communion. And it says, in fact, I'll kind of quote it or come close to quoting.
What Exodus? What?
Exodus chapter 20. That's where the 10 Commandments are. And right at the end, the 10 Commandments go through verse 17. And verse 18 starts this passage. There's only 4 or 5 verses, whatever it is.
Just wanted to make sure that those listening and
Right,
watching.
they can look it up.
Yep.
But and it says, when the people saw all the Israelites standing around the side of the mountain, they were told to go up on the side, and God says the 10 Commandments to them. And then when they saw the thunder and lightning and the smoke on the mountain, and heard the trembling and the voice of God, essentially, and the trumpet blast, and they went to and they were afraid and they trembled, and they said, Moses, no, you speak for us, you speak to us, and you go to God, you come back and you speak to us, because we're going to die.
Interesting.
And Moses says this. I know we're not talking about this passage. We are.
We'll touch on it.
Right. And Moses says, "It will, do not be afraid." I love this passage. I might have to quote it. Do not be afraid. There it is. For God has come to test you, that the fear of him may be before you, that you may not sin.
You brought this up the other day.
Right. Don't be afraid that the fear of God will be before you. Isn't that it? He says, don't be afraid because you're afraid. That's good.
Yeah.
And
Which
so
we've
that
talked
you don't
about
sin.
before. Yep.
Yeah. And it's really good because I talked about communion today, and I'm gonna go through quick because I did it with communion too. So I'm excited about it because I talked today. I said, look at them go, and they experience God's presence showing up on the mountain and His speaking. And so, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And we see it even in Revelation. You see this thunder, light. It's a symbol of God's presence. You can see it there, and in other places as well. But particularly here, this is the time, and God shows up, and they're terrified. And I said, you know what Paul says is that the glory of Jesus coming and His thing is greater than this glory.
Oh.
So what Jesus does on the cross, there was a shaking of the earth, and there's darkness, and there's people coming back to life, and all kinds of things happened. It says that was earth shattering. The whole earth and universe shattering. Shaking. It's like, whoa, this is the ultimate thing, and it's more than that. It's more, and we ought to. One of the reasons we do communion is to come and remember God's presence, which is what they needed to do regularly. Come back and be in God's presence and say, oh, yeah, God is awesome, and therefore I have a fear of Him in front of me, and therefore I don't sin. Mm-hmm. It works that way because you're like, God is so great. Why would I do that? That would be stupid.
I haven't really put 2 and 2 together before like this, but, it's like when mom and dad are watching.
Right.
That's how we should be.
And more than that they know their way is best. It's more than what mom and dad can do, because mom and dad are doing their best, and sometimes they're wrong.
Sometimes.
I've never been wrong, but I heard it happens. But God is never wrong.
Yeah.
So what He says is best, the way to do it, that's what we do. Therefore it's stupid to disobey and not have a fear of God in front of me, so I do not sin. Mm-hmm. Now, listen to the last verse. Okay, I know we're not doing this passage. Well, I guess we are.
Kind of. It's like a quick
right
footnote, or what is it? What's that? There's the quick notes, or I can't remember. But anyways,
but it says, after He says that you may not sin, and it says the people stood far off while Moses drew near to the thick darkness where God was. See, we have a choice. And we come to communion to be before Christ and the cross, and how great it is, how amazing this thing that God did on the cross, that Jesus did. And we ought to be in wonder and awe and renew our covenant with Him and forsake sin and walk close with Christ, because it's that awesome. It's greater than anything that happened here. And the people drew far off. They pulled away because they were afraid.
It's 2 very different pictures.
And Moses
of being in the presence of the Lord. Right.
And Moses went up. In fact, I read a commentary on it, and it says, and as you see in chapter 33, where Moses says, "I want to see your face," or "I want to see you." He didn't say his face, but and that's where God hides him and covers him, and then lets him see his backside or something like that. But Moses wants to draw close.
Yeah.
That's who we should be. We go and we see Jesus, and it should result in us saying, "I got to get closer. I got to get closer."